Hello, fellow drinkers at the Jolly Heretic. Resident Poet here, and hello again to those of us joining from History Debunked. Now, as some of you may be aware, I've been away abroad out of the country for the last 3 weeks, so I do have something of a backlog in terms of poems. So, without further ado, I'll try and cut into that backlog and start with the stream that our good landlord Ed Dutton did about 3 Mondays ago on the subject of the key causes of autism. Tonight we'll be given a steer on autism. Ed will be clear. We'll get some tuition on this condition while supping a pint of good beer. And then shortly after that, Ed produced a clip on how thinking about death makes us crave both fame and children. Years ago, it was a normality to live in the face of mortality. But now I concede we no longer breed and exhibit a lack of vitality. And Ed, funnily enough, illustrated this self-same video with a thumbnail featuring the 1989 film Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. And that prompted me to write a couple of lines again. Those fine young men called Bill and Ted appear in a thumbnail by Ed. Their whole attitude was excellent, dude. Great film, it has to be said. And later on that week, Ed's guest was a Professor Huang, who talked to us about why the oft-quoted out of Africa theory of human evolution is in fact a load of baloney. Our guest here tonight is Chinese. Prof Huang, he's certain to please. He knows evolution in a manner Confucian. Let's learn from his great expertise. And those of us who managed to catch that stream, I'm sure will agree with me when I say that we did, in fact, learn a great deal from him. Shortly after, Ed released a video on why, on average, intelligent people are nicer people. If you're clever, you're probably nice. On this point, one shouldn't think twice. It's just realistic to be altruistic. Let's listen to Edward's advice. And I'm sure we did indeed listen. And hard on the heels of that, Ed gave us the lowdown on the basics of the statistical concept of correlation. The prof clarifies correlation. As we know, it does not mean causation, but as a measure, it can give us pleasure when used to support explanation. Now, at this point, I think I'll stop my work in the backlog of poems and continue to make a dent in it in a later video, which I will release very shortly. And now I will move on to please our devotees to today's funny story. So today's funny story features a Catholic priest and a Jewish rabbi. Now, each of them are in their respective cars and they're driving along, both of them, quite carelessly in opposite directions. And all of a sudden, yes, you've guessed it, they crash into each other. Oh, a head-on collision. Terrible. And both cars are totaled, as they say, complete write-offs, complete wrecks. So out of the wreckage, though, both of them get out and they look around, they dust themselves down, and it seems that both of them are absolutely miraculously unscathed. So the rabbi approaches the priest and says, "Oh, look, Father, look, both of us are absolutely unscathed. It must be a miracle, my life, my days." And the priest replies, "Do you know what, actually, Rabbi? I think you're right. I think it must be the work of God. The great man has come up trumps and spared us both from a terrible, terrible calamity, no matter what our religion." And the rabbi says, "Yes, I agree with you, Father. Oh, and I tell you what, another miracle has happened. Look, in my inside pocket here, I had this flask of whiskey, and like me, it's also unscathed. Isn't that marvellous?" And the priest says, "Do you know what, Rabbi? I think you're right. I think that's a second miracle." And the rabbi says, "Well, I tell you what then, Father, why don't you have some of this whiskey? Go on, to celebrate, drink up. Go on, here you go." And the priest takes the flask of whiskey from the rabbi and drinks quite heavily from it and passes it back to the rabbi. And the rabbi puts the cap back onto the flask and gives it to the priest and says, "Now, go on, you keep it, you keep it." And the priest says, "Are you sure you won't have any with me, Rabbi? It's grand stuff." And the rabbi says, "No, actually, Father, you're all right. I think I'll wait until the police arrive." So that was just a roundup from me today of the Jolly Heretics output and that of History Debunked. If you did enjoy it, please do like and subscribe. And thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see each other very soon. Goodbye.